following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Barry, sacked by Lord. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
A busy week ahead for the Dallas Cowboys from Oxnard, California. Practices each of the next 3 days and 5 of the next 6 as training camp rolls on here from the West Coast, presented by American Airlines. And we are talking Cowboys. Kyle Yeomans, Mickey Spagnola, raising his hands because he got his sunrise bike ride in today. And then Rob Phillips as well as, well, it's the start of the sprint, I guess, of this week and the marathon, really, of the NFL season. We're just underway. But, Rob, I mean, this is a crucial week for a lot of these young guys on the roster. What are you looking for as we head into practice number 4 today?
About to get to some good stuff. We got one more practice, I believe, without pads today. And then, Wednesday is everything, all the questions we get about guys, I think you have to couch it with where they are right now in practice. Starting Wednesday and then leading up to that first preseason game, I think the evaluations hold a little more water when you're seeing guys not tackle each other, Mick, but just a little more physicality and more like real football when they're in full pads.
Put those pads on,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Let's see what happens. And, it'll be interesting. And one of the things that I like to point out is, when you play in underwear football, wide receivers are real bold going over the middle, right? Now let's see if they have any anxiety that knowing that when they catch the ball or try to catch the ball, there's somebody that's going to knock the snot out of them, especially going over the middle. And these guys have been running over the middle carefree. So
they're not going to get the snot knocked out of them.
Well, but they'll
anyway
get
here.
hit. They'll get hit. I'll guarantee.
Little wake-up call, that's all it is.
Look, guys that have numbers like 14 and 15 and 16 and 17.
How about 17?
Yeah.
Malik Turner.
He'll start getting hit, They're not hitting 13 and 88 and 19, but these other numbers, that's fair game. And then the other thing today I want to see is, after you have a day off, how do you come back lethargic or are you ready to go? Because we've seen that here before where you get a day off or two, and it's almost like being on vacation, right? And you come back to work, and you're like, oh, okay, I got to get back in the routine. Well, there's no walkthrough to get back in the routine because they have the main practice in the morning. So it'll be interesting to see how attentive they are or if the coaches have to work hard to get their attention.
Well, and you've also mentally just, 3 straight practices. That has not happened this camp, and I'm not sure it's happened. Well, I guess it happened in OTAs. But now with pads coming on, you got to get your mind right because this is kind of the start of a mental grind here with 3 straight days and in pads. And that game's around the corner, and it's probably going to be most young guys playing, but that's an opportunity for guys to stand out on this 90-man roster.
We're now into single digit days, I should say, until the Cowboys do travel to Canton. I think that's a great point that Mick brought up about the lethargicness of what could happen today. This may not be the best practice we've seen so far from the Cowboys if they're not careful. You got to go back out there. You got to have that same kind of energy, intensity. Dan Quinn, of course, has been doing that on the defensive end. But is this a good thing for the Cowboys that practices 5 of the next 6 days kind of get not only into a routine but just out of the pitter-patter start and stop that we saw from the first really week of camp?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you'll get your regeneration day on Friday. It's mandatory, right? Mm-hmm. It's in the CBA, how many days in a row you can practice. But, get into a routine, get into the grind, and see if guys – see, what happens a lot of times in practice is you'll see Rob mentioned 17, Malik Turner, right, the wide receiver. Had a good day the other day, right?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Had a good camp.
Now, can you do it 2 days in a row? You can't just flash and then the next day you fall back to, who's that guy, right? So now you got to put these practices consecutively together if you're going to make an impression on the coaching staff. And there's a lot of young guys that, we see somebody flash, and then the next day is, well, where'd that guy go, right? This will be a really telltale stretch here, I think, these next 3 days.
The other thing, too, is when Mick mentioned the number of young players, 11 draft picks, a lot of undrafted rookies, guys that are in their first NFL training camp, when the pads do come on, okay, we want your intensity, but we also want to protect each other. Keep everybody up, nobody on the ground. There's a reason Dak Prescott was held out of team drills in the offseason because they wanted to protect him. So let's be intense, let's get our work done, but let's protect each other too. That's when Jason Garrett was here, that was a message to the young guys when the pads started, was just, we're teammates here, let's be careful a little bit.
Stop me if I told you guys this before, but 30-some years ago when they had training camp practice in Thousand Oaks, a lot of those years early in the kind of the late 70s, early 80s, they would bring the rookies in 2 weeks ahead of time and kind of get their exuberance out of them. That way, when the veterans come in, you're not sitting there going, "Okay, I'm going to lay that guy out, right? I got to make an impression." And they would
kind of tire him out a little bit early.
Yes, and they would come in here with all their draft choices. And back in the day, they were drafting 16 rounds, and they would bring in all these free agents, and they'd bring them in early because there was really no off season. So that was the start of the season, and they'd work them out and start weeding guys out. I could remember Cliff Harris talking about, when he got signed as a rookie free agent, and they told him, he was the number one guy, and and he's going to be one of their top DBs. And then he gets to training camp, and there's 20 DBs there, and it's like, wait, I thought I was the guy, And they did the same thing in wide receiver. Drew Preston will tell you the same thing, getting signed as a rookie free agent, and you show up, and there's 20 other rookie wide receivers here. So they used to try to do that, and I remember one year they had signed a somewhat of a veteran running back. So it had been 1990, Emmett's rookie year, and Stan Smagala wipes out that veteran running back that they brought in and tore his ACL. Gosh. And it was a cheap hit on the sideline, but it was like the first day pads were on. And it's like, you got to get that out of these young guys because they're all trying to do something to gain some attention. So, but it's good now. They've had this lead up, and when the pads come on tomorrow, they'll at least kind of been, acclimated to
for a couple of days throughout. And that'll be something to watch, I think, throughout the early parts of today's practice and then, of course, tomorrow whenever the pads do come on. But we've mentioned the wide receivers and kind of the extra confidence that some of these young wideouts have had over the middle of the field and having some success. We saw Dalton Schultz have a really nice day, Malik Turner, Osirius Mitchell. A lot of these young wide receivers fighting for a roster spot, trying to challenge guys like Noah Brown, Cedric Wilson, below the top three wide receivers. But I want to flip it to the defensive side of the football. The safety position has been on and off right now. They haven't had the pads on, like we've said, so they're at a disadvantage already. However, the Cowboys, after a couple practices, said, hey, let's bring in another veteran that we've already looked at, already decided against, in Malik Hooker, and let's at least try him out and see what's happening. Now, Jerry talked about it the other day, Rob. One, what did Jerry say about the current situation of bringing in Malik Hooker, a former first-round pick, a safety, to maybe challenge for the starting job at safety? And then is safety that big of a concern right now?
His comments on Malik Hooker were brief. I mean, he's not signed yet, so he said, if he is signed, to your point, he can bring some experience to the group. He's got their required COVID-19 protocols for coming in and working out and possibly getting signed. So I think they're almost through those. So in the next day or two, we might hear him being signed. And it sounds like they're very interested in doing that because of his experience. They brought him in March and the same time as DeMonte KZ. And they signed KZ because I think probably they felt better about his medical situation, in addition to the fact that he's been a Dan Quinn guy in the past. But obviously, they like what he did in Indianapolis, Hooker did, and a former 15th overall draft pick coming out of college. So I think the biggest thing that stands out is, what does Mike McCarthy always talk about? Dan Quinn, too. Taking the football away. That's the one part of the defensive identity, Mick, last year that they kind of got going, was forcing turnovers. Malik Hooker, when he's healthy, has done that. And I don't think they're panicking about the safety position, but they're looking for competition and really in that aspect as well. And I think he can bring that if he's healthy and if he can get back to where he was a couple years ago.
Yeah, and I think that his 5-day protocol is up. So I think they can work them out today because they haven't worked them out yet. And when they had him in the spring, my understanding was he wasn't ready. He tore his Achilles last year, and he wasn't ready to go. So they're going to see physically where he's at. And let's face it, he ain't been sitting there for 3 months and saying, well, I'm waiting for the Cowboys to bring me back and work out. No one else has touched him, right? So I think they want to see where he's at. And then physically, and I don't think they're panicking at safety. They're just saying, hey, this guy was pretty good when he was healthy in Indianapolis. But let's remember, he missed an entire season, I think it was 2018, with a torn ACL. And then he missed last year. He tore his Achilles September 20th.
He missed some time in 2019 as well.
Right. And so, you're right, a former first-round pick.
Yeah.
He's got 7 interceptions in his career, so I'm not going to go crazy, this guy's a ball hawk, whatever. But
he's a classic free safety type that can go get the ball.
And I think what they're looking for is, okay, let's see if this guy's better than the other guys. It's not like, these guys are terrible, we just need to bring somebody in.
So we're at a consensus here that this is not a panic signing.
Yeah, no,
this is a depth signing, if anything, because, I even asked the question, I think it was Mickey that I was asking it to at practice the other day, is outside of KZ and Jaron Curse is the next guy up, do you feel comfortable with that being your free safety combo or your safety combo in general? I don't necessarily feel that way. I feel like there's a really thin spot right now at the safety position, and I think this could help out. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be the starter, but if he comes in and plays significant snaps and is able to have a rotation where you're not afraid of letting something go over the top of your defense, I think it's going to help out a lot.
And then you would think they've already talked about this with his agent about this is what we can afford. You're not coming in here to get rich.
Making money,
right?
yeah.
You're going to be on a 1-year deal, maybe 2, but the second year is probably going to have some sort of option in it or something like that. And you're not going to make much more than the minimum veteran minimum, and you might get a little bit of a signing bonus. But you're not coming in here to be rich. But again, you don't have a job on July 27th, right?
Nope.
You can't get too choosy.
No, you cannot.
Right? When there's 31 other teams out there that got 90 guys on their roster and no one knocked on my door.
Think back to the first week of training camp last year. Clinton-Dix just demoted from the first team to the second team, didn't make it out of training camp. I think they're looking at that from, look, we want depth. I think when that happened and they decided that, he wasn't going to be a fit, and they were kind of counting on him being a fit potentially when they signed him, they were left with some issues depth-wise at safety last year.
And they haven't overspent to sign KZ.
Nope.
They haven't overspent to sign Jaron Curse, and they haven't overspent to sign Keanu O'Neal. So I would imagine this guy's, not going to break the bank here because there's much left in the bank under the salary cap.
Well, fans are clamoring for them to spend at that position, and they just haven't. They haven't done it.
There hasn't really been availability out there with some high-name safety free agents outside. I mean, I guess names, sure.
Yeah,
Earl Thomas is out there. We got that, but that was a while back, and he's a different player than he was in the Legion of Boom. Different story. There hasn't been that big-name safety that's been on the market to be able to spin like that. But there have been quality veterans that maybe have some injury history.
Yeah, and look, they were fortunate last year that Donovan Wilson just kind of, I wouldn't say came out of nowhere, but I don't think they were expecting him to be this viable starter last year. And they were lucky he came in and played as well as he did, and I think to a certain extent they're going to count on him to be a starter again. To me, safety is an important position. It is a position where, especially in today's NFL, if you can have a guy that can be a matchup problem and you can move him around, I think there's value there. If they can be better in the front seven, pass rush, your linebackers better, that'll help the safety position. That'll help the cornerback position. So, find some veterans who can come in and compete and be solid at that position.
So
solid.
And let's put it this way: from safety, tell me your position.
I'm trying to rile him up.
Put me your position priority on defense, and then tell me where safety comes in.
I know it ranks last
pretty
for you.
far down.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you tell me I didn't get to the Super Bowl because of my safety position, I think you've had other problems. So
disagree.
Yeah,
you
but
can. If you find a good one, boy, that's great. But I don't think you have to just break the bank to fill the safety position. Give me a guy that's solid, that doesn't make mistakes.
See, but they haven't found that guy yet, and I think that's the biggest issue for Cowboys fans is that guy hasn't been around.
Jeff Heath was good. He was serviceable.
Serviceable is a great word for it.
He didn't cost them games.
No.
What cost them games last year, what did they have, 31 sacks? Go spend money on a defensive end.
I don't disagree with you there. I do think they've had opportunities to address it. They haven't. Tyrann Mathieu went somewhere else and kind of helped transform a defense in Kansas City. I mean, that position can be valuable. But look, they've looked to address other spots. I'm okay with addressing pass rusher and defensive tackle. I was fine with that. Defensive line, spending 3 picks on that
linebacker
spot, I'm good with it. Yeah,
linebacker fine.
And maybe Israel can develop into a safety at some point. I wouldn't expect that this year, but maybe in the next couple years, maybe he can develop into a guy that's part of a rotation.
He certainly has a foundation for it, and he looks the part out there. He's running with the threes right now, Israel Mukwamu, who we're talking about right here. So maybe he does fit that mold, and he kind of works his way into that, but I think he does, like you said, have a long way to go. But we mentioned the defensive tackles. We've got a fan question surrounding those D tackles. How does the interior of the defensive line look so far through camp, and have they improved upon 2020? We'll hit that next when we come back on Talkin Cowboys.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar. And a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Whether you're watching from home or you're cheering in the stands in Oxnard, California, you can see every exciting play with your Essilor lenses. Book an appointment at your local Essilor experts and see what Essilor can do for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Shout out Isaiah.
Talkin Cowboys. Yeah, Isaiah. He'll be here soon. He'll be here soon alongside Heckma Harrison. You can catch those guys, by the way, on Hanging with the Boys, right?
Yes.
Back home, they're doing a good job. Heckma hosted yesterday, which I heard was a lot of fun for him.
So you could see more with those glasses.
See more.
Better peripheral vision?
And do more.
And do more.
And do more.
Essilor. See, we've got this down. Mickey's got to get a pair of Essilor lenses. Okay, we've got some fan questions. Chris is getting ready with the sounder in the back because it's time now for some Fans on the 50.
Fans on the 50.
Boom. As always here on Talkin Cowboys. We're going to start things off with Stingray. He asked a great question the other day. Very simple one today. Any comments on the defensive tackles? Of course, they're going to have a lot of eyes on them. Mick, anything you see sticking out with the interior of that defensive line early on?
Ask me after tomorrow.
Okay.
When the pads come on.
Okay.
It's a little premature.
A very fair thing
But
to say.
what they're doing right now on the first team, they've got Carlos Watkins out there along with Neville Gallimore. And they are really high on Neville Gallimore. He was one of the guys that won the off-season workout award. And evidently he is really all in on trying to get better. And remember, he ended up starting, the last 8-9 games last year?
Yeah.
And there was a reason why he did that, because he really improved. And again, here was a guy that you probably had high hopes for. No off-season, no preseason, and just kind of got thrown into the fire, right, like all the rookies did last year without any lead-up. And it took him a little while to get going, and understandably, because he was kind of playing a different position than he played at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
At Oklahoma, they were in a three-man front, and he was playing defensive end. Now he's in where he should be at the three-technique defensive tackle with a four-man line. And I'm expecting big things for him. But, again, let's put the pads on and see what happens.
I mentioned him the first show out here that I think you can mark him down as a starter. That's how they feel about him. That's what he showed last year. I talked to him at minicamp back at the Star, and he said, I'm trying to be dominant. I'm trying to be a dominant player. They think he's got that skill set because he is a good athlete at that position and can be one of those pressure player, disruptive guys inside. I'm with Mick. I mean, I think offensive line, defensive line, pads help you tell the story a little bit better. But Osa Odighizuwa had a sack, or would-be sack, in practice.
An impressive one, too.
On Sunday.
He blew up the offensive line.
Yeah, he's one I really want to watch in the preseason and when the pads come on in terms of how much can he crack the rotation? Can he be a guy that gets 20 snaps in the rotation as a rookie per game? I think that's possible because he's also got some flexibility. He can kind of play along the front. So he's one in particular I want to watch for sure.
Reminder, Osa Odighizuwa was taken 7 spots higher in the draft than Gallimore just a year later. So, I mean, they probably have similar expectations going into it. Now, you forget about Odighizuwa and just how high he was taken because there were 11 draft picks through this draft class, whereas Gallimore was the third. Odighizuwa was also the third, but still some pretty high hopes on their end. And one more thing on Neville Gallimore. Even with the limited access that we had last year with players, I got a chance to talk with him at the Senior Bowl. Got a chance to talk with him over Zoom after the draft. And then I had a chance to talk with him the other day when we showed up here in Oxnard. And every time I've talked to him, I've seen a considerable difference and a considerable raise in his confidence. And you can see it just in the way that he talks and the way that he's been around other people. And now that's different, of course, because he's had more time to talk to the media and he's been around this team longer. But if that's something that translates to the field, which I think it will, that's something to watch out for a guy like Neville Gallimore.
And let's not forget Bohanna.
Yeah.
And he would be the type of guy that you got to see him in pads and see just what he can do in the middle of the line to kind of hold up. And, what impressed me with him in the minicamp and OTAs was the fact we're talking a 6'4" guy that's 330, or at least that's what they got him listed at, that moves like he could be a tight end. So I like the fact that he's got good feet and he's mobile at that size. So when the pads come on, let's see if he can make an impression and earn him some snaps.
When they drafted him, I immediately thought of Dontari Poe. Just immediately thought because just a huge guy inside who can help plug the run and create less space in the run game. Poe did not do that.
No.
He's done that throughout his career.
Don't compare.
I was about to say, you're digging a grave for Bohanna right now.
I'm not making a direct comparison. I'm saying what the role is. And I think and Mickey's point is right. Like he's for his size, and he's been listed at different weights throughout his college career. I think he's, like you said, 330 here. 360 was one listed weight at Kentucky. Whatever he is, he doesn't move like that.
One less meal when he
when he ate a salad once.
He's not a tree stump. This guy can be active
He's a good
on
athlete.
that defensive line.
Yeah.
So I'm be interested when the pads come on what he does.
If he's not a tree stump, what was Don Terry Poe?
Don Terry Poe was basically a broken down refrigerator.
Okay, I was about to say, could we say it on air? I think that's a pretty good one. Okay, here's Ernie switching things to the offensive side of the football. He asked, this offense has struggled with slow starts in the past. Have you been able to see, and this isn't just really around training camp, but have you been able to... He means
in individual games, I'm guessing.
Correct, in games. Have you been able to see the differences and areas of growth of Kellen Moore's game when it comes to tempo, execution, and situational football going into his third year?
I don't know. That might be overthinking it.
I don't disagree that they've had slow starts, even when Dak's been healthy. And I don't know if I can put my finger on it. Why? But they have had trouble going back to 2019, kind of getting out of the gate. It's not every game, but it does happen. I will say situationally what we've really watched the most is the 2-minute stuff. And I think Dak's been really good there so far. I think all three quarterbacks did a nice job in the 2-minute Mick the other day.
DiNucci did really well.
Where
DiNucci and DiNucci was working with the seconds too.
Yes, because Cooper Rush has the back spasms. But it was a situation where it was either a tie score or they were down by 2 with minute and change left, had to drive the length of the field for a field goal to either win it or tie it. And I think all three quarterbacks, they stopped the drill by the time they got in field goal position. So it was good work for all three quarterbacks there.
Yeah. When he said slow starts, and I guess he meant in games. Because
correct.
The first 5 games, they averaged 32 points a game. So, I don't know what happened in the first quarter, but, if they didn't have slow starts, they might have averaged 40 a game, I guess.
Good point. It's a good point. Maybe that's something that Kellen Moore can work on. Speaking of Kellen Moore.
Throw for touchdowns right away.
Yeah, there you go.
You see some 60-yard passes right out the gate.
Point of the game, right? Is find the end zone.
They did have some games playing from behind, and a lot of
they had
was
turnovers.
Turnovers, yeah.
Emilio asks, any new updates for Amari Cooper and DeMarcus Lawrence, their possible return dates? I believe Jerry spoke on this, right, Mickey?
Jerry said after Arizona, DeMarcus Lawrence can go out there and play a game right now.
Okay.
I watched him do his rehab this last practice, and he's running like his hair's on fire, doing all the drills and moving really, really well. They're just being overly cautious with him, knowing that he doesn't need these mini camp practices. You didn't have him in minicamp before. He doesn't need minicamp practices. When the pads come on and they feel like it's time to go, he will be ready to go. We'll see on Amari. I at least saw him, what day is today, Monday?
Tuesday.
So Sunday, he was out on the cords. That was the first time I'd seen him on the cords.
It's always a good sign.
He might be able to been doing that and just didn't do it when we were around.
Yeah.
But again, I think with him, and he's pretty particular, so I think they're just being cautious with him too. But I think by the time the season starts, both guys will be ready to go. And I think almost everybody that they put on PUP should be ready. It's hard to know on Golston when you have a hamstring like that.
Yeah.
But
and Tristan Hill too.
And Tristan Hill,
not sure there.
He was working hard yesterday. I mean, the day before, because he was working out with Lawrence, and he was doing all the same stuff Lawrence was doing, and he was running really hard, and he's all in. Here's kind of their thought, I think, on Tristan Hill. They got these defensive tackles, right? You got one that you put on PUP. Now, do you want him competing with all these other guys that are fully healthy, or do you say, I don't want to cut any of these guys. Maybe I leave him on PUP for 6 weeks, and then by time the 6 weeks are up, he'll be even further removed from his torn ACL. I'll probably have an injury or so along the way, and
Most
then
likely.
I can activate him So I think they look at Tristan Hill as being in their hip pocket right now.
He's almost like an unofficial reserve.
Yes.
Is basically what they're going to use that PUP list as, and I think there's no rush to get him back out there. And like you said, with the amount of defensive tackles that we've already spoken about, I think it is something.
And we didn't even mention Brett Urban, right?
Brent Urban, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Tristan's also 300 pounds. So coming off an injury like that usually takes a little bit longer than it would for a Blake Jarwin.
So want to kind of switch this back over to the offense really quickly. A couple of questions coming in about Connor Williams taking the backup center reps yesterday and maybe being that reserve center should something happen to the starter Tyler Biadasz. Is there a possibility, and this is from Scott, by the way, is there a possibility that Connor Williams could move to the starter spot at center and then maybe a Connor McGovern, who played really well down the stretch last year, move into the starting left guard spot? Any chance at all?
I don't see that.
No,
I think they're looking for Joe Looney's replacement in-house.
Tyler Biadasz is good.
He is good.
He's good. He was better than Joe Looney.
Was that poking the fire again, Rob?
I think so. You did it this time, not
I
me.
did it.
Yeah.
I thought you did it. You mentioned Joe Looney.
Our buddy here that asked the question did it.
Do these guys watch the games? He had won that starting center job after Looney went out with his sprained knee, and then he got hurt, right? Yeah. And then he missed 4 games, and then, by the time you get back in the swing of things, it's 2 more. And I think they just thought, look, for continuity's sake, we're gonna leave Looney in there. This kid would have won that job in the offseason if there was an offseason.
I completely agree.
Freak thing, too. Didn't he hurt his hamstring in warm-ups against Pittsburgh?
In warm-ups.
Yeah, that was 2020 in a nutshell.
So I don't want to ridicule Scott. I think he does probably watch the games, and he's probably not hating on Tyler Biadasz by any means.
Fans.
Yeah, I mean, Scott's just asking
his name
question.
come up
Goodness
in that question.
Gracious. So, but I think maybe the concern that Scott may have, or maybe even other fans out there, is the availability. Connor Williams was the only player on the offensive line, starting offensive line, to play all 16 games last year. And if out of all of your offensive line,
and coming off an ACL,
which is extremely important. Out of all the offensive line spots, what's the most important to have a rapport with? Center spot.
The center.
Yeah. Got to have a rapport with center. So maybe that's some of the thought process that goes into that question.
But
I agree with you, both of you. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I think Tyler Biadasz is the guy. I think it's his job to lose.
You just
and
have
I think
to have
Connor
a
Williams
backup.
is at left guard.
You have to have a backup at center. They don't have a backup right now.
They've had Connor Williams focusing on guard.
Yep.
Or Connor McGovern, focusing on guard. Brandon Knight is focused on guard. So they've got that position set up. Yeah, they don't have a backup center. And what's interesting about this, though, is if it works out, and it's an adjustment period for Connor Williams. He didn't really play the position ever. He said after practice, coming out of college, teams looked at him as a tackle and a guard. So there's an adjustment there. See if he can do it. But it tells me they're willing to, switch 2 positions in the starting 5 if they have to.
They need to.
Which tells me maybe they're open to doing what they did last year before Zach's injury at right tackle if needed, or left tackle.
But answer this question: if it's not him, who's the backup center? And don't tell me Forniak.
It's not.
Well, would he be next?
I think week 1.
But he is. Braylon Jones was the other one.
Yeah.
Rookie free agent. They don't have anybody other than Biadasz on this 90-man roster that took a snap at center in the NFL last year.
I know. That's
what's worrisome.
That's why, with that question, it's Tyler Biadasz's job. There's no question about that because of what they haven't done at that position. Connor McGovern played it at Penn State. He could play center. For whatever reason, they're leaving him kind of at guard, letting him focus on that.
But the last time he did that was 4 years ago.
I know. We're just digging down here. Who has snapped a football?
Yeah,
I'm giving you names.
Yes, I know.
I've snapped a football before.
I have too.
Get in there, Mick.
My shotgun snaps didn't go 5 feet over the guy's head.
Goodness gracious. I think week 1, you see Tyler Biadasz as the starter, Connor Williams as the backup, and I think after the Cowboys go and get a win on the road at Tampa Bay on that Thursday night, that Friday, I think you see 73 getting a call. I think Joe Looney will be in there because by that point, there's no Guaranteed veteran deals along the way, and maybe that's what they're waiting for.
What do you
Maybe
think,
that's
Mick?
what they're waiting.
I think as long as he hasn't eaten himself out of an opportunity, and
Pretty good chance.
he's ready to go, I think it's a possibility that they look
There you
like he's in their hip pocket if they need him.
I think that's exactly the thought process right now. All right, I've got a game for you guys when we come back on the other side of the break. It's a little this or that. I'm going to give you some questions.
Do we have to drink beer to do this?
If you want,
Can
we'll
we?
get some Miller Lights. That'd be great. I
Chris?
feel like there's got to be something around here. Chris, let's hook it up when we come back here on Talkin' Cowboys.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with United Ag and Turf. Before you can park yourself in front of the game, park yourself in a John Deere and power through your chores. Our Land Run package is a 1025R, 25 horsepower tractor with a loader, rotary cutter, and a box blade for $229 a month. And the price you see is the price you'll pay, no surprises. So don't miss another kickoff.
Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com. Offer ends February 1st, 2021. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Now let's get to work.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Don't miss your chance to see the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium this season. A limited number of single-game standing room only tickets are on sale now. Get yours today at DallasCowboys.com/tickets. The Cowboys returning back to AT&T Stadium week 3 of the NFL season and get a chance to start on the road this year and plenty of time until the regular season. But, man, we are right in the thick of things here in Oxnard, California. Rob Phillips, Mickey Spagnola. I'm Kyle Yeomans. I got a this or that game coming up for you guys.
Oh, Mickey loves games.
Mickey, you want to go first
That's why I
eager?
asked. These are like things you do at the bar when you're drinking beer,
Yeah,
right? You
yeah.
play these games.
He used to play these with Broadus, and he had the best time.
Oh, that's fun. Let's do it. Okay, what unit can have the biggest jump from last year
It better
to
be
this
the
year?
defense.
Well, no. Okay, so specific position groups.
Oh.
Yes. So I'll give you 5. I'm giving you 5 choices: defensive line, cornerback, running back, offensive line, linebackers. So 4 of the 5 choices are on defense. So
Can or needs to?
Can. How about most likely to have the biggest jump from last year to this year?
Most likely.
Linebacker.
Why is that?
Because they drafted one in the 12th pick in the draft.
It's pretty good. Do you think that will happen? You think it will be the biggest jump?
Yeah, I think so, because Leighton Vander is going to be healthy, and there's going to be a lot of competition on who's going to be on those top 3. But if Micah Parsons is on the field where he will be, they'll make the biggest jump.
Okay.
Offensive line.
Why is that?
Because everybody's healthy right now. I would say offensive line can and will, needs to.
Okay.
Defensive tackle. They've got to be better on the interior defensive tackle. That's why they spent all those draft picks. That's why they signed Brent Urban. That's why they signed Carlos Watkins. That was a huge emphasis in the offseason, and that's they really need to be more effective there, specifically against the run.
Yeah, you can't be 31st again against the run in the NFL. You can't do that. That's not a thing. Okay.
So who you got?
Oh, I would actually agree with you on linebackers.
Okay.
I think because I do think Leighton Vander Esch will have a healthier year, hopefully.
Everybody
knock on that wood
forgets
again.
he was a Pro Bowler his
He's
rookie
very good.
year.
very good before
and that
he got
hadn't
hurt.
happened in like forever with the Dallas Cowboys to have a rookie linebacker go to the Pro Bowl.
And he's got a chip on his shoulder. They declined his fifth-year option. He's got to find a way to either, one, go into a contract year with a good season, or two, try and stick around and get a long-term extension. So either way, I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got a mentally focused offseason behind him because he even talked about that a little bit, and I think he's somebody that could take another jump. And I think the rotation with Micah Parsons is going to help that out as well.
And I think they got him playing where he belongs on the weak side.
Yes, I agree completely. All right, what positions have the best odds for regression going the other way? Who do you think could see a little bit of a downgrade this year? I put 4 here. You can add one if you want. Quarterback, wide receiver, safety, cornerback.
Ugh.
It's kind of tough, right? Because I feel like on paper you feel like you've improved in a lot of spots.
Yeah, it is tough.
Maybe safety?
I don't think there's anything that just
sticks out.
Safety's going to be worse than last year?
That's what I'm saying.
That's kind of what I was thinking is it's got to get better. And really even those positions at corner, you drafted a guy in the second round.
Yep.
You had some injuries. It wasn't season ending, but Anthony Brown missed half the season.
I feel like you have depth there.
Yeah. Diggs should be better.
Owuzie missed almost the entire season.
Yeah. I talked to Trayvon Diggs. I asked him the other day about things that you see. He said he missed some opportunities. He said, I got my hands on 14 balls last year and only got 3 picks. Not good enough. He said all of them were, in his mind, interception-worthy type plays.
And let's see how Nashawn Wright plays with pads on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
But-
yeah.
Agreed.
But they might be better.
Name them. What were the 4 options again?
So I put quarterback, wide receiver, safety, cornerback.
Well, quarterback, if number 1 doesn't stay healthy,
Yeah.
There's another position. Who's the backup?
Yep. That's kind of why I put it there. I'm not necessarily saying Dak's going to see a regression.
That's the only thing I could see is if
Yeah.
there's injuries. Corner, they've got to be better. They got to be healthier. They need Kelvin Joseph to step in and be able to play. That might be the closest one. Or safety, just because we just talked about it first segment. There are questions about who's going to start.
Yep.
And how's that rotation going to look?
And if Donovan Wilson doesn't have as good of a year as he did in 2020, then maybe that safety spot is a worse off than they were
Well, how
a
can
year
it be
ago.
worse? I mean, who?
It was pretty bad, but it could definitely get worse.
Just trying to answer the question.
Who did they lose?
Xavier Woods.
Oh, they did. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And I still think he was underrated.
Yeah.
He was misused last year. They were playing him like a linebacker in the nickel defense. But he should have been deep. Wilson should have been
the box
safety.
And instead, they flip-flopped him a lot.
And they were using him as a linebacker at what? Skinny 215 pound, maybe 20, 215, maybe.
He was
maybe.
under 200 when he got
And
drafted.
the other team's playing 2 tight ends, and he's playing in the box. Seriously?
I can't disagree with you there.
Okay. I'm going to move on to this final question. The Olympics are happening right now. It's been a hot topic of conversation.
I watched the women's volleyball.
I did
last
too.
night.
It was a big win over China.
Some girl named Thompson
Thomas.
is Thomas.
Or wait, no, it was Thompson. You're
Thompson. Unbelievable.
Yeah, she was nuts.
She can go up. She got these long arms, and when she goes up to spike the thing, man, she's not missing.
No.
They swept China 3 straight sets, and China's defending champion.
Nice.
How about that?
Pretty
I'm
good.
up
Yeah.
on my
How
women's
about that?
volleyball.
You got a USA Olympic shirt underneath.
That's
there.
right.
Cowboys don't flash anybody, but I mean, you've got the shirt on underneath.
Show
it.
us
So
that 6-pack, Mick.
Who? Ooh, there you go. That was from the London Olympics.
Brad and I bought these 2016. The mall.
When you went to
in
London?
Camarillo. No.
Oh, okay.
Everything was on sale because the Olympics
Because it was
were
4
over
years
by
ago.
then.
Yeah, 4 years after that. Okay, who would be on your podium for best Cowboys of all time? You've got 3 minutes to tell me why. You got a gold, silver, and bronze.
Best players ever?
Yeah,
Ever?
just for fun. If you want to find a different topic, you can
I
find
mean,
one.
it's
but
pretty. I mean,
if it's easy, tell me.
You're going to say Roger Staubach, right?
Yep, and it's the gold, right?
Unless you want to argue with Troy Aikman.
You got Heath on there?
Jeff Heath?
You got Heath on there?
Maybe he's a bronze medal winner.
The GOAT.
David Ellman's shout out. Yeah, goodness gracious.
I'd put Roger. Yeah. Bob Lilly's got to be on the podium.
He was my bronze.
He's Mr. Cowboy. I'd put him bronze. I'd put Roger, gold,
Well,
and I'd put Emmett silver.
That's my exact three.
How did it turn out in our little poll?
I actually went back and looked at it. Roger was 1, Bob Lilly was 2, Emmett was 3, Aikman was 4.
Yeah, that
was pretty good. But I flip-flopped Lilly and Emmett. That's my only change. I put him as silver. When I voted on it, I had him silver too.
I missed the poll. I didn't see the poll.
You voted on it, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a while back. It was like last year.
A long time ago.
Oh,
I thought, the top 60 of all time. That was like the 60th anniversary thing.
Oh, I thought you meant you put it like a Twitter poll.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it was top 60.
Yeah, Roger, Emmett, Bob.
Yeah,
Roger,
I
Emmett,
agree.
Bob.
Good with that?
I think I had Roger, Troy, Emmett, Bob.
Oh, that's pretty good. I'm okay with it.
You can substitute
argue it.
Troy and Roger, right?
I think it's a default, right? You go to Roger, but I think there's an argument there.
There's definitely an argument.
Roger's the most
Super
beloved.
Bowls there.
Yeah. Captain America, all that stuff.
I mean, people somehow, even, when it started coming to the Pro Football Hall of Fame voting, just take Aikman for granted. He was good. And they weren't there without him. I guarantee you that. I don't care if they had Emmett and Michael and that offensive line. If Troy's not there, they were not there.
No doubt.
Just simple as that.
Well, he's 4th on the list right now out of the ones that we've mentioned. He's not like 14th or 15th.
No, I
It's
didn't
like
say that.
He's
But
up
that's
there.
why I said he was
You had him at
second,
2.
and that's why
That's
I said
okay.
it's a good argument, him or Roger.
Well, there you go. I love that. I just kind of wanted to pick your brains for a little bit. I haven't been around very long, so I'm trying to see where I stand up in my thought
you're
process.
catching up
I'm
quick.
trying. I'm trying to get there. But that's going to do it for us here on Talkin' Cowboys. Busy week ahead. We've got practices in each of the next 3 days, 5 of the next 6. We'll be back on Thursday to break it all down for you, and then again on Saturday. For Rob Phillips, Mickey Spagnola, I'm Kyle Yeomans. We'll see you next time on Talkin' Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?